This is Musical Talk, your podcast for musical theater. Here are your hosts, Nick Hudson and Andrew Edwards.
Well, that's a lie. Andy Edwards is not here today. He's unfortunately unwell. He has a throat infection and an ear infection, so it's just with me, Nick Hudson, today. Welcome to the 5th episode of Musical Talk, your weekly podcast devoted to musical theatre. We got the second half of the interview with Les Mis orchestrator John Cameron coming up today, and an interview with the creator and director of Forbidden Broadway, Mr. Gerard Alessandrini. But let's get on with some news stories that have caught my eye. Adapting films into stage musicals is something that's been happening, of course, for a very, very long time. But we got two ones opening in out-of-town tryouts, as it were, soon. High Fidelity, the musical, is opening tonight. It's done with its previews in Boston, so they have the official opening night tonight, October 5th. That's playing at the Colonial Theatre in Boston. It's an interesting choice for musical because the film mentions so many songs in it. It sort of creates its own soundtrack for the way Will Chase is feeling in the story. And I think, to create new songs for the musical is an interesting idea, and we'll see how it goes. I was discussing with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago about it, and she wasn't excited by it. Neither was I, to be honest with you, but we'll see how it does tonight and how it does in its reviews from the press. We also have something which I really wasn't expecting, is Evil Dead, the musical, playing at the New World stages at Stage 1 at 34 West 50th Street between 8th and 9th Avenue, off Broadway. And, of course, I think ever since Sondheim sort of made the dark musical something that can be popular, because before it was all musical comedies and all happy, we are now going to see sort of mass cannibalism on stage, perhaps, with chainsaws and all that other fun stuff. Of course, you had people eating plants in Little Shop of Horrors, so who knows, this could be mildly successful. I hope they keep it very funny. Not that people getting chopped up with chainsaws is a funny topic, but the way the film is done, it will probably be very tacky and entertaining to see. We've had a couple of emails. Thank you very much to Chris, who emailed us. He really enjoys the show, and he's coming to London soon, and he's going to be seeing all the shows here. Hope he has a marvellous time. And Sophie emailed us and mentioned how much she enjoyed our Disney show, our Stephen Schwartz show. That's gone down very well, and we, of course, very excited to have him on our show. So now we're going to get on with the main bulk of today's show. We're going to have the other half of the interview with John Cameron and an interview with the creator of Forbidden Broadway, Gerard Alessandrini. So we'll start now with the second half of John's interview, where he talks about Zorro, which he is working on. Speaking of Zorro, this is your next project that you're working on, and you're heading off to the States at the end of next month. Yes,
that's right. We did a workshop in London last November, which was reasonably successful, but we weren't quite right there. We knew that the music was working. I'm collaborating with the Gypsy Kings on this, and then I had to go to the States for most of the start of this year to work on Path to 9/11, which was on the television a couple of weeks ago.
Right, yes. The
Harvey Keitel thing. And while I was there, the book and lyric writer Stephen Clark came over, and the director, Chris Renshaw, lives in Nicaragua and Los Angeles, so we all met there and did some prep work, and then we workshopped it there in June with American and Hispanic cast, which was actually marvellous because it gave us a whole different slant to the piece.
Yeah, of course, it's very authentic with the accents and the
absolutely, and even a blue-eyed white boy from Missouri spent 2 years in California has got that Hispanic dust on him.
Yeah,
and we've got some wonderful Mexican American artists in as well who just had a completely different way of singing some of the Hispanic and the Gypsy music, and it really brought out so much more depth and colour that we wanted to find, if you like, because I think this is what we found in London is that there were areas that we just couldn't plumb, basically because we don't have any, I suppose, because Britain never conquered a Hispanic nation,
no.
If you like. We don't have any within our commonwealth of people in London. There are very few Hispanic.
Do you think because of that it will be an American production, or are you hoping?
No,
to...
the producers still want to start it in London for their own business reasons, but we're doing another workshop in Los Angeles and then actually going to present it in New York. And we found some stunning talent in New York that we're going to add to the people in Los Angeles. And I think what we'll achieve is there will be certain people that we'll have to bring over from America because we can't, we really can't find them in this country. Even with the people that we will find in this country, if we've got if we have the workshop and the recording of the workshop of the people from California to use as a model, then they can learn the feel of it, the depth of the canticondo singing and all that sort of stuff, and I think they can give us that feel, even if we're doing it in London. It gives us a great benchmark.
It sounds really exciting, and I remember watching the movie, and I seem to do this a lot. I seem to think that this will be a musical because the emotional depth in the story is so strong.
Yeah.
And you have these two great characters who are, they're fighting, and do they like each other, and so there's good reasons for songs there.
Yeah.
And lots of swashbuckling adventure, which you don't really see on the stage very much.
You don't. I think we're hoping it becomes what the West End and Broadway don't often get, and that's a really sexy musical where there's a lot of chemistry. There's a lot of frisson there. It's not gratuitous or pornographic in any way. It's sexy by the sheer fact that is you feel the heat and the passion in the thing. And musically, we're very studiously avoiding anything that feels Les Mis or Broadway or like out of Wicked, or they're all great shows, but we don't want the piece to sound anything like it. There's no piano.
Right.
Orchestrally, everything is very much based on Hispanic music of one sort or another, whether it be sort of the mambo rock of the Gypsy Kings, or flamenco. We have a lot of flamenco. We're still doing the deal, but we have a very famous flamenco choreographer coming on board. We have a Hollywood fight director coming on board. These sort of people will add to the frisson there. But to go back to the music, we have flamenco. We have music that reminds you perhaps of Villalobos or Albéniz. We have music that is Mexican in feeling. We have some Native American music because in our story, Zorro's mother is Native American. So there's nothing there that kind of comes from the Broadway or London roots. It's all coming from Hispanic roots. And as we've been writing it and creating it and orchestrating it, anywhere where it kind of feels that we're using an easy West End cliche gets thrown out immediately.
But there must be echoes of West Side Story in it, maybe, or.
Oh yeah, no, that's probably the only show that there will be some echoes of, because some of that Hispanic writing, it was fabulous. But we have thrown out one song because it turned out too much like I Feel Pretty. So West Side Story is the greatest musical ever. The orchestrations and the Hispanic writing in there, the brass writing is just it's to die for. So as I say, we're really trying for it to have a totally individual new voice. A couple of violins, loads of guitars, a couple of trumpets, maybe a horn in there, lots of percussion, and obviously we'll use synthesizers to stack up and give it some depth and to represent certain instruments that we really can't get all in the pit.
And of course that leads me on to another question I had. Of course Cameron was very went down quite unfamously for stripping down the Les Mis orchestra. That was because it went into the Queen's Theatre.
The Queen's, and it's a question of sheer economics. Had you been budgeting a show at the Queen's from zero and said, okay, what can we get in the pit? 12. If it was going into the Queen's, the only way you could have put any more than that in would have been to take out several rows of seats, which would have made the show
make less money.
Well, frankly, uneconomic. You if you're going to run a show and keep a show like that going, you actually have to cover your expenses each week. The right size of band for that show in the Queens was 12. They couldn't cut down the cast, so it was, plain economics. In fact, most of the guys in the band, having had 18 years of very good employment, were really quite happy that at least a dozen of them were going to keep going. And I think a lot of the Stormont drang from the certain members of the union. The union itself was very cooperative, realising there were problems.
Right.
So I was quite happy to collaborate in stripping it down because it kept the show on. And as I say, if that's the trouble is that London is filled up with theatres that really aren't quite big enough for contemporary needs, if you like. So it's very difficult to shoehorn something out of the Palace into the Queen's without there being some kind of stripping down sacrifice.
Are you happy with the new sound, or would someone not be able to tell the difference?
I was happy with it when it opened a couple of years ago, or about 3 years ago. Then I seemed to spend half the last couple of years in California, and I'm going. Yeah, yes, it was nice and warm. And I haven't been back. I mean, the thing is that what we did with it is a technique I've used in TV and movie scores. Using synthesizer and samples and pads alongside live musicians. I'd never want to lose the live musicians.
No.
The part of 9/11 thing, we used a lot of that. I did Little House on the Prairie for Disney before that. I used a lot of that kind of technique there. And it gives you a very contemporary sound, and it gives you, at the same time, a nice big orchestral sound. So I'm not averse to it. As I say, I'd hate to actually lose live musicians, and I know with Zorro that the live element of it is going to be so important. But it's a difficult one. That one's forever dealing with budgets. One's forever dealing with, as I say, inadequate theatres. And
this is a business that people seem to.
It's a business, and if a show can't make the nut, then everybody's out of work. So I'll try and help a producer to make the nut.
Yeah. Another show I must ask you about is Honk.
Oh, Honk, yes.
By the marvellous George Drew and Anthony Styles. Or was it George Styles?
George Styles and Anthony Drew. I was going to say, I had to stop there. Yeah.
Who were they? Yeah. Of course, now sort of they've got their hit now with Mary Poppins, which is brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah.
What was it like working with them?
It was great fun. It sort of took me back to I started in a way from Footlights. I used to write songs with Eric Idle.
Right.
And so Honk, in its kind of use of hundreds of different styles and hopping from this and hopping from that and very fast, witty lyrics, just took me back to mid-60s Cambridge. So it was great. I loved it.
And are there any hopes of that coming to London?
I don't know. I'm slightly out of the loop there.
Because it won the Olivier Award, didn't it, for Best Musical?
It was quite a few years ago. I think it's one of those shows that's been fairly well done in second-class productions and whatever around the States.
Probably be more useful for schools to do and things.
Yes, indeed. It has a good life. I haven't seen George and Anthony for a little while. As I say, having been out of the country for a lot of the last 2.5 years, I've slightly lost touch. Do
you have any other plans for musicals in the future that you're running around in your head? Do you like to write your own musicals entirely, or are you more?
I'm enjoying this one.
Zorro.
I'm enjoying Zorro very much because yes, there's more autonomy, and also I suppose it's a nice combination of being an arranger and a composer.
Yes.
So that I can cull the best of the Gypsy King stuff and then add my own voice to it, and it's a kind of holistic thing, if you like, which I really enjoy doing. I haven't really thought past that. I'm enjoying this happening. I'm hoping to get some more movie soundtrack stuff over in California because I love that discipline. And the funny thing is, it kind of goes quite well with doing the odd Zorro in between because one discipline feeds the other. So I There was a time a few years ago where I was getting bogged down in the music theatre, and thank goodness I got back into movies, because that then rekindled my affection for music theatre.
Yeah.
You know, there are times where you can just you think, oh God, another tech, another opening, and another set of dodgy reviews.
Another rewrite.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Okay, John, well, thank you so much for taking the time out on this somewhat nice Saturday afternoon we're having here.
Yes, indeed.
And
it's a pleasure.
And thank you very much, and we hope you enjoyed listening to our podcast.
Thank you.
So there was the second half of our interview with orchestrator and composer John Cameron. I think Zorro sounds very exciting, and I can't wait to hear more about that. I want to apologise for the technical problems during that interview. It was because I conducted it on my cell phone, and I didn't realise it had happened until I listened to the interview, and I didn't want to do it again because it was nice for him to take up his time in the first place. Now we're going to have our second interview of the show with Gerard Alessandrini, the creator of Forbidden Broadway. He actually has given us permission to play one of his songs in the show, so we're going to play a short one, singing about Mel Brooks, I think in honour of Andy, because he's in the producers at the moment. And this song actually is, I think, quite appropriate because it mentions Gerard himself.
Have you ever heard a Mel Brooks song? With the bing, and the bang, and the all-offensive slang. Have you ever heard a Mel Brooks song? With the guilt, and the fault, and the Jewish Gewalt. Stephen Sondheim is worthy unto bloody. It don't mean a thing if it doesn't insult everybody. Have you ever heard a Mel Brooks song? With the slur, and the slap, and the sting. Mel Brooks lyrics insult you in a flawed way. The only guy who's sicker is that dummy, crummy, stupid guy who writes Forbidden Broadway. Shoot him! Big key change. Have you ever heard a Mel Brooks song with a trend to offend everyone? It's the only kind of insults that will leave you applauding when it's done. Hit with Hitler.
Thank you, Gerard, for taking the time to do this. It's very, very kind of you.
Of course, thank you for your interest.
Can you tell me about your background? Do you have a sort of musical training?
Yes, I did have musical training. I don't use it much anymore. I came from the Boston, Massachusetts area.
Right.
Up in Boston, the suburbs. And then I went to college at the Boston Conservatory of Music, where I studied music, drama, and dance. I was primarily a singer and studied classical singing and musical theater. And at that school, you can take all different types of singing, music, and acting courses. I had a very nice baritone voice when I was younger, and I did a lot of musicals and operettas and small operas. And I graduated from there. One of the things that I studied there, besides voice and piano and acting, was directing and writing. So I also found that I had an affinity to writing. So I began writing small musicals in college, as many people did, and quickly became interested in lyrics. When I came to New York, I was primarily an actor, and I got a fair amount of work off Broadway and regionally in musicals, and at the same time I was studying writing at the BMI workshop, Broadcast Music Workshop, and also at the New School with Aaron Frankel, and wanted to pursue that as well.
When did you decide to tear apart musicals?
Well, I had been doing that for many years before, probably since high school, for fun, for my friends, and I would do kind of like what I do for Broadway. I would take the songs from the shows and change the lyrics to comment on the musicals, to satirize them or to turn them inside out. And I would also do it with movie songs and things like that. So it always has been a hobby of mine.
Can you remember the first parody you wrote?
I probably can't because it was so long ago. I know that by grammar school, I was doing parodies of musicals that were around at that time, like movie musicals around that time, because they were more accessible, like Oliver and Funny Girl. As far as Forbidden Broadway goes, I remember the first two parodies I wrote were one on Law and Bacall and Woman of the Year. I took the song "I'm One of the Boys," I'm one of the gals was one of the boys, and changed it. I'm one of the gals was really a boy, about her actually being a man. And then Richard Burton was in a revival of Camelot at the time, and I did. So I Wonder What the King is Doing Tonight. I had him singing I Wonder What the Kid is Drinking Tonight. I mean, that goes pretty far back. That's more than 25 years back. So
I must congratulate you for winning the honorary award that you've recently won this week for the
Tony Award.
yeah, for
Thank you very much.
for the excellence in theatre. That's marvelous. I mean, I saw Forbidden Broadway the summer of 2005 when SUV first came out.
Yes, at our new theater.
And I have to say, it was probably the funniest evening of my life.
Oh, thank you very much, Nick.
I literally died when they had Defying Subtlety, the Wicked parody. And what's your favourite parody?
Well, just over the years, putting them all together. So, I mean, I have favorite parodies of What's in the Show Now. You know, we're doing a parody of Sweeney Todd, the one with instruments that came from England.
Yeah.
And but I think maybe the Cheetah Rivera, Rita Moreno number
from West Side Story.
America. Sorry, I really like that one. Although that's a little dated now. When sometimes we pull it out and we do it, and you know, a lot of audiences don't remember or know who Cheetah Rivera and Rita Moreno are.
No.
You know, like they used to. But that was a very fun one for me. I always enjoyed watching that. A more obscure one also. There was a parody of Grand Hotel, the musical Grand Hotel, years ago, and that was one of my favorite parodies that we did.
What defines parody in your mind?
Well, to me, parody is the literal dictionary definition of it. It has to use the original elements of the original.
Yeah.
If I had changed the tune or made it a song with something like that, to me it would be pastiche.
Yeah.
So parody is actually taking something that is existing and then using elements of that to create it into something else for a satirical effect. That's to me what it is. So when I would say a parody song, to me it's actually taking a Broadway song and changing lyrics. I guess it could be the reverse. It could be changing the music too. You know,
Yeah.
using the original lyric and changing the music. Years ago we used to joke that I wanted to do that. I wanted to do, there had been a rumor, a theatrical legend, that Oscar Hammerstein would actually write tunes to his lyrics before he gives them to Richard Rodgers. So I wanted to have an evening of Hammerstein music. So I took the lyrics to Oklahoma and put new music to it, like really mundane music. So that, I guess that would be parody too. But when it's something like, to me, like something like The Boyfriend, that's to me is a really excellent example of pastiche.
Yes.
Not parody, where it's actually, well, maybe the book is parody, but the songs are actually, they're their own thing, they're new, and he's actually created new elements, something like the original to make satire. Not to say that that's any less than parody, that's just a different way to go, a different style.
But they still sound like they could be from the 1920s.
Right.
On the French Riviera.
You know, then, of course, something like Stephen Sondheim comes along and writes Follies, and he's writing pastiche, except the brilliance of it is that they're better than the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like something Irving Berlin Kern would have written, but they're even better than they wrote.
You mentioned Sondheim a lot in your songs. Are you a big fan of his?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I enjoy everything. Well, you know, he's really writing musical plays, and I enjoy theater on that level more when they're actually telling a story and making a point, and you know, the songs are integrated. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of his, and I think a lot of his the shows are, you know, full of irony and comedy. Even Sweeney Todd is full of that.
Sweeney Todd is marvellous. When you write parody, do you have to be careful about, I mean, for example, you know, Disney are very scrutinous about their copyright. When you do something like Be Depressed or The Circle of Mice, do you get permission first, or is it all right to put it on stage? And
well, here in America, it's been different over the years, you know. We really don't pursue, I mean, you don't really have to pursue the rights now. It's sort of more lenient to do that to a song. It's sort of almost like it's become, I'm not a lawyer, but in simple terms, it's almost like it becomes public domain if everybody already knows what the music and lyrics are anyway.
Right.
But we do actually clear a lot of the music with the publishers.
We yes.
Rent the songs for a very small fee because we're a small show.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the publishers now know us. Matter of fact, they all do, and come see the show. So they know exactly what we're doing, including the Disney people. They come and they laugh, and they're flattered that they're in the show. And they look at it, our parodies, they look at
advertisement.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I think what they'd be angry about is if I took it like a Disney song and wrote a political song about abortion or used it to sell real estate.
Yeah.
But since we're taking their songs and singing about their shows, the
Yeah.
shows that they're from. It's a type of advertisement to them.
Of course, you're a big institution now. You've been running for 25 years, so it's not as if Disney haven't heard of you.
Right, and even though we've been around a long time, and an institution, as you say, which I hate to call it.
No, sorry.
No, that's all right. That's what it is. We're still at a very small level. We're below the radar screen. If I was on NBC doing, a weekly show for Forbidden Broadway, it would probably be a very different situation. I probably would have to get not only exact clearances, but approval of what we were saying, But we're doing it in a small, live, theatrical setting, so that makes a difference, too.
Do you have any plans to bring over a Forbidden West End?
Actually, we don't have any plans, but we've been very well received in London over
Yeah.
the years. We've had 3 successful runs there. The British sense of humor seems to mesh with Forbidden Broadway,
Mm-hmm.
and the show's very well embraced. And actually, I should talk to my producing partner, but it's almost seems like it's time for us to bring a new edition over there.
Yeah.
We do very well, and there's a lot of extremely talented people in London that can do the show very well, and I'm still very friendly with the people that have done it before, like Rosemary Ash. So hopefully we'll be back sometime in the next couple of years. But as I think of it now, I should, with my producing partners, we should sit down and figure out how to do that again.
Well, I will tell you, as a British theatre goer, we were paid to come and see it because it is absolutely marvellous. Tell me about the symphonic production you did.
Oh, yes. Well, maybe we'll bring that to London. We now have a symphonic version of Forbidden Broadway. We do with the Forbidden Broadway actors. We do with the costumes, just like you saw. Because in a sense, the production you saw in New York, it's done like a concert. They're standing at a mic in front of a basic curtain. So it's always been in concert form anyway, because
Very cabaret.
it's in a cabaret setting, and now it's in a bigger thing. We're doing it like a concert, so you can almost do exactly the same staging and the costumes. And we've done it regionally here in the United States. We've even done it in Australia and
Mm-hmm.
Adelaide with the symphony orchestra, and it's very fun. We have full orchestrations by one of our musical directors,
Right.
and it's very fun because the wrong lyrics with the music done in a bigger style
Yes.
is even funnier, because the orchestra makes you want to take it seriously that you've changed the lyrics, so it makes it even funnier. And of course, most of the music we're using is just fantastic music, so it's fun to enjoy on 2 levels, not only to hear the music played and performed well, but to hear the comedy of the new lyrics. We've actually been setting up more productions of that, so we've only done 2 or 3 so far, but we're lining up a whole bunch of them all over the world. So
You should come and do one at the Royal Albert Hall with the LSO.
maybe, yeah, that could be help us get booked there. Yeah.
Do you have any plans to write your own original musical now you've established a name for yourself?
Yes, I do that. I do that actually all the time. I just have never really gotten anything produced in many years. I mean, I just had a reading yesterday of a original musical I wrote with a partner. So and I have a trunk full, and I hope someday. But Forbidden Broadway, keeps me very busy with updating it. Like the show that we're doing now in New York is probably very different from the show you saw a year and a half ago. And then, of course, when actors change, the material almost has to change to suit their talents, to suit the not only the imitations that they do the best, but the type of comedy that they do the best. So we're forever tweaking the show in New York. And I always feel like it's never quite right. I always feel like it should be a little better or more
Perfectionist.
So that's my job, and it takes a lot of work. And like I said, Forbidden Broadway is done at a miniature level compared to theater. So even though we're fortunate enough to have a job all these years, there's not a tremendous amount of income. I mean, people say, "Oh, you have a show running 24 years, you must be filthy rich." And even though I make a nice living and live nicely, still basically middle class. Now, I'm very good at writing out of shows. I can sit down and write quickly and efficiently, but as you know, the hard thing is actually getting them produced.
Yeah, of course.
Taking them around, doing the readings, and I'm not as good as that. Sometimes I let that slip.
Are you just going to keep on writing Forbidden Broadway forever and ever?
Well, I don't know. I mean...
Would you hand it over to someone else, or are you happy to keep on?
No, that I wouldn't do. No, that I wouldn't. I would keep it going as long as we enjoy it, and I feel that it's has some artistic merit or making people laugh. If it became too tired or dated, which at points it almost has, but then I can sort of rejuvenate it by doing new editions. As long as it looks like it's good theater, I'll keep it going. I would like to write or have some of my original musicals produced. I would like to direct other things more. I might do that in the future. So there might be a point where we say that's enough, or that's enough for a while, because Forbidden Broadway is the type of show that, we could end it and then do a new edition in 5 years or something. I don't think I'd ever hand it over to anybody else. As a matter of fact, it probably could be even more updated and more varied if I had other people writing it for me at this point or help me write it. But I don't want to do that. Even though it's maybe not as updated as it could be, I like that it's all my voice.
Yeah.
That it's all sort of from my point of view.
It's your baby, as it were.
Right. So I'm the only one that I want to write it. We might at some point, if it ends and we don't do it anymore, I hope somebody else, some other young upstart, does their own type of Forbidden Broadway. So and that's it. But I wouldn't hand over the Forbidden Broadway franchise to anybody or sell it. I just keep doing it myself. But if there comes a day when I'm done or gone, I hope some other young person does something similar, and they probably will. I mean, my God, now they do Forbidden Broadway type things on Broadway.
Yeah, like Spamalot.
Spamalot and Martin Short.
I think we'll end it there. So thank you so much for talking to me today.
Well, thank you. You're having in the show and enjoy it, and do things in theater.
Thank you so much to Gerard Alessandrini for taking the time out to do that interview for us. That's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Next week, we're going to have a wardrobe assistant in from The Lion King. We're going to discuss what happens backstage during a musical, because, believe me, more drama probably happens backstage than on stage. Hopefully, Andy will be better by then and able to speak and able to sing and able to dance and able to talk to us and able to arrive. So join us next week. If you want to submit any questions for the wardrobe assistant for The Lion King, or if you have any comments about the show, please email us at musicaltalk@hotmail.co.uk, or you can visit our forums via our website at http://hudson.nick.googlepages.com. We're going to close with a song from Forbidden. We're going to close with a section of a song from Forbidden Broadway in honor of Mr. John Cameron and Mr. Gerard Alessandrini, where they faithfully give a lovely version of Do You Hear the People Sing? We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Do you hear the people singing the hit songs from Les Mis? It is the best show of a classic since they modernized the whiz. Better learn the songs by heart, and if you don't, they'll call you dumb. They'll be atop the record chart when the British come. No more Gershwin, no more Kern, we don't need old shows anymore. We'll set ablaze and burn most every Stephen Sondheim score. Come join with the few who have started a musical war. Do you hear the people sing all of the new songs from Les Mis? Even the great Andrew Lloyd Webber wished the songs were really his. You'll be ticketed and pinched if a Lacage song you should hum. Poor Jerry Herman will be lynched when the British come. We'll decapitate the beast. Now Les Mis is here to stay. Miss Saigon will leave you numb. Phantom will haunt the great white way when the British come. The British come for Britain.
Thanks for listening to Musical Talk. We'll see you next time.